You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I got oil wells pumping in my living room? Just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides, just like hope springing high, still, I'll rise. Did you want to see me broken? Bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries? Does my heartiness offend you? Don't take it awful hard, 'cause I laugh like I got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I'll rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave, I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise. I rise. I rise. Good evening, everyone. I am Cynthia Terry, and I'm honored to be able to welcome you to the State of Black Women Virtual Summit presented by the Global Black Women Chamber of Commerce. I'm also honored to introduce to you the founder and president of the Global Black Women Chamber of Commerce, which is the voice and choice of Black women-owned and Black women-led businesses all over the globe. The president and founder is called by the New York Times, Billy Graham, and Oprah Winfrey, all rolled up into one. She's also been referred to as the Harriet Tubman of women preachers. And she is a third generation business owner. Please join me as we receive the president and founder of the Global Black Women Chamber of Commerce, Reverend Dr. Ambassador Suzan Johnson Cook, whom we so affectionately call Ambassador Sujay.
And thank you, Cynthia. I call you the voice, the Luther Vandross for females. Your voice as an announcer is so beautiful. So let me thank you for being with us all the time. And at the beginning of this, let me welcome all of you. Thank you for sharing part of your evening with us. We are excited, delighted, and ignited to present some of the global voices you need to hear all over the world. And so I want you to put in the chat where you're coming from. We're so happy to have you. I want you to press that button if you're following us on YouTube and subscribe and like and even share. We'd love to hear from you and know where you're coming from, because it's our joy and delight to be leaders for Black women's voices. As she said, we want to be the choice and the voice for Black women-owned and Black women-led businesses all over the world. Now, before we begin, let me just thank a couple of people who you don't see in front of the camera, but who are pivotal for this work. Dawn Callahan, who helped us get started with our speakers, and Kirk Nugent, who is our producer par excellence, and then the others you'll meet off and on camera throughout the evening. So let me just thank the team, the GBWCC team, Carla Simpson, and all of you who have made this night so possible. Let me share one other piece of information, an announcement. Now, Cynt Marshall was supposed to be on. She is the first Black woman and the first woman CEO of any NBA team, the Dallas Mavericks. And guess what? They made the playoffs. So guess what? She's on that plane with Mark Cuban and the team, and we're just excited for her. She has promised that she'll come to a future state of Black women because this is important to her. She knows how important it is for us to collaborate, be a coalition, and be connected all over the globe. So share this evening with us. Again, subscribe if you're on YouTube, and let us know in the chat where you're coming from. The excitement is in the room, Jackie Prater said. And I will say the excitement is in many rooms. So welcome tonight, my first guest. I am just so excited. So on my phone, I got this email, this flyer, that more than 100 state legislators were gathering in Washington, D.C. to support the confirmation of Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson. At that point, it was just to support her confirmation. Since then, of course, we're excited that she's been confirmed. And so I said, let me find out who this is. NOBEL, the National Organization of Black Elected Legislators. And so the president is with us today. That's right, the president, Juandalynn Gavan. So won't you join me in welcoming her for our first segment today. Juandalynn, thank you so much for coming and being with us today. We're welcome.
For having me. It is so delightful to be here, just to be in your presence, Ambassador. I am reminded, I noticed that you had, I think, Still I Rise on the prelude to the entrance of the program. And I couldn't help but think about Maya Angelou and you. And I simply say to you, you make me proud to spell my name. WOMAN. Such a powerful history maker. And the reason I'm saying this now is because people need to know this. We have women, not just in the White House now, but we've had women in the White House. We've had sisters that are doing it. So I want to, first of all, thank you for the opportunity on behalf of the National Organization of Black Elected Legislative Women. I am so delighted to be here. Again, I am Juandalynn Gavan, and I'm a state representative in the state of Alabama. So again, thank you, and I'll be quiet and let you ask me whatever you want to ask.
No, I am so excited. I'm just like, when you're on a roll, I'm so excited to hear you. First of all, you take some of the best pictures of any legislator I have seen in my life. So I'm just trying to follow you, sister. But you know what excited me? I stood on the steps of the Supreme Court with you. So thank you for sharing the weekend with me. I was able to have dinner with you and the legislators. And I just want to ask you, I mean, you're a third elected legislator. First you were appointed, and then you've been elected. 75%, the highest election rate in your state. And so I want to celebrate you, congratulate you. What's it like, and why do you do this service?
Well, first of all, the first time I ran was 2010. I had to run against 4 people. So I was never appointed. I've always had elections. So I've just finished my 3rd term, heading into my 4th term. But let me just say why I do this. First of all, the people need a voice.
Yes.
We as legislators should serve as the voice for the voiceless.
Yes.
I feel that what we offer and bring to the table is that we actually serve as a vessel. We serve as a vessel to get the services, the answers, and sometimes just to have our voices raised so loudly that we get someone's attention, to get the help for our constituents and those who need it most. So the reason I serve is to be that voice, to be that vision, and to be that leadership that is needed. Each one of our states has a constitution, and each one of our states dictates that there must be representation for the people. Now the question becomes who the representative is, but we have a democratic process, and today I'm proud to say that we have over 300 plus Black elected legislators here in the United States of America.
Wow. So my late brother, Charles Johnson, was the first Black assemblyman in the Bronx, New York. And so I grew up in a political family with a lot of the leadership that's now in Washington actually came in the assembly and sat in my mother's living room and ate fried chicken. So it was wonderful to kind of see the work that you do, and I just celebrate you and applaud you. So let me ask you this. One of the things that's really important to me is work-life balance. You are on all the time, whether you are out in public or whether you're home, you're on the phone, you're working. What do you do to balance your life? And then we're going to talk about Judge Kintaji.
Well, it's interesting that you're asking this question. I just shared with the group a little while ago that women never take a break. We never have an off day, because what we do as mothers, as leaders, as clinicians, as teachers, whatever the position is that we hold, we will forever be women in chief. Because our duty is never done. We're always having to lead something, guide something, steer something, fix something, repair, or replace something. Yes. That is what we do. We're, as I mentioned, we're doctors, we're lawyers, we're counselors, we're mothers and grandmothers, sisters and aunts. But for me, what I've learned to do, and this has become so important in my life, I've learned to begin a process of absorbing and taking in the moment. Okay. Of everything I do, because
being fully present, we call that
being present in the moment, because there are so many journeys that we take each and every day. But in some ways, we think everything that we do is the grandest of them all, and in other ways, sometimes we minimize those things that we do. But the bottom line is, how often do we take time to appreciate? Yes, to appreciate what we're doing in the moment and absorb it. And when you do that, that allows you to breathe.
Exactly. So one of the things I do each year, and I hope you can go next year because we're sold out, is called Selah by the Sea. And you know, Selah means in the scriptures, just pause. We take 70 women and we have intentional rest and relaxation. In fact, we don't bring any electronics into the room. So I hope next year you can go with us. But it's 3 days to just say for a minute, you know, the kids, everybody over there has to be on pause. We're caregivers, we're mothers, we're wives. So I hope that you can go with us next year.
I'm
okay,
there.
You're there. The other thing that I was going to say is that, you know, what I've learned to do, and we say it often, but I really have learned to say no. The invitations, I get at least 200 emails a day. And the invitation, if your ego is in it, you're like, okay, I want to do it for them and that. What I have said as of last week is I can't take any more until the fall. And I really, because summer is my favorite season. And if I am working and sweating, then I have lost my summer. And so I have a time when I can just put my shorts and bathing suit on and just sit by the water. So I encourage everyone to find out where that block of time is that you can just say, sorry, I can't do it. I say it nicely now. I'm already committed, which means I'm committed to myself.
And that goes to knowing what your win is. Win is win. And again, it goes back to what I said. We're so many things to everybody and everything else that we lose ourselves. We lose ourselves and we forget to enjoy the moment. One thing that I've started doing, and since you spoke about this weekend that you all are planning, I just shared again today. I had to speak somewhere earlier, and what I shared was I've stopped picking up my phone at night after a certain time. And in the morning, I do not pick it up or turn my phone on until I'm either walking out the door or I'm in the car. Why? Whatever happens in the middle of the night, I can't control it. I can't do anything about it. If it's bad news, it's already done. My best ability and time availability to fix whatever it is will be the next day. And the other thing is, I need to learn to get rest. I need to learn to be my own doctor, to pamper my own mind. And what we as women have to realize is that not just pampering our physical appearance, we need to pamper our mind. We need to massage our mind and our thought processes as we travel along the day, because we carry a lot of baggage. I often reference this song by Erykah Badu, Bag Lady.
Yes.
You're going to hurt your back. Walking around carrying all this mess around. We carry a whole lot. And so I think about that song often, but just coming into my spiritual thought processes, meditating, and just taking a moment to be present.
I love it. So now we're joined by Val Harris-Aline, who's going to take a few questions that are in the chat. And one of the things we didn't get to chat about was after we stood on the steps of the Supreme Court, it wasn't just that she went into the confirmation room, but you went and you lobbied and advocated with the senators. So Val has some questions from the audience. And Val, Harrisoline, I just must say this to you. She's a Delta soror. We're talking with an AKA, but it's okay. We're all family.
That's we're all sisters.
Okay, now what's the question?
Well, one of the questions that came up was, who were your role models as you were coming up?
Great.
Wow. For me, it's always, and I tell people this all the time, when you're a child, of course you aspire, you have a beautiful mother, but outside of our mother, there's always a teacher. There's always an educator. And even if it's not an educator, there's always this one lady in the community.
Yes.
That has this thing, that je ne sais quoi, that thing, either where you want to either look like her, you want to be like her. You reference being an AKA. For me, everybody I was around growing up was an AKA.
Okay.
And what that also meant, whether you were AKA or Delta, it meant you were educated.
Yes.
You had gone to a certain level. So for me growing up, several of my mentors actually was a lady by the name of Jill Kelly, Miss Dorothy Hawthorne, who was one of my teachers growing up. And to be honest with you, my grandmother, she was a strong Black woman. She wasn't educated, but she could use her hands and she could make the best homemade biscuits. But it was her determination to live and to provide for her family.
I love it. So not only were you educated at Miles College, but you also went to get your law degree and now have a law firm and are doing some major things in the community. Now we have time for one more question. And what is it from our audience?
So this one. What is your recommendation for getting more Black women engaged in the political arena?
The first thing I do is say run. Run, and don't be fearful of running. But the thing that you just said, to engage, they've got to get engaged. They've got to understand that there are no barriers that you cannot overcome. And there is no greater voice. And this is what I want the women who are listening to hear. There's no greater voice than that of a Black woman.
I love it.
We changed the trajectory now of presidential elections, gubernatorial elections, state house elections. We are the likely voters. And because of that, now, from what happened in Georgia just 2 years ago,
yes,
they are now on the cusp of possibly electing the first Black female governor in Stacey Abrams. So for me, I just tell everyone, get engaged. Be deliberate in what you do. Don't do it haphazardly. And know that someone is watching you. And just as you asked that question about who did I look up to, realize that when you take on these roles, people are watching.
Yes, yes.
People are admiring you. Yeah, you're going to have some haters out there now, too. Oh, also, we're not going to sugarcoat it, but know that you're a walking canvas. And every stroke of that canvas, you're creating what the final masterpiece is.
And you're a beautiful one. We admire you for what you do. You'll have to come back. When you come back another time where we can spend a couple of segments with you. You are my BFF sister, NOBEL. I love you. And we thank you for sharing this time with us.
Thank you. And just know that you all are a part of our annual conference coming up in October in the National Harbor in Washington, D.C. Ambassador, thank you for all that you do. Thank you for everything. And thank you for inviting me. And thank you, Val.
You're welcome.
Thank you. That's NOBEL, NOBEL, National Organization of Black Elected Women.
Legislative Women, NOBEL.
Thank you so much. You've been talking with the President, Juandalynn Givan. Thank you so much for staying with us. We'll be right back.
Wasn't that phenomenal? Wasn't that just phenomenal? That was Juandalynn Gavan, and she said that she loves being the voice for the voiceless. It was great. At this time, we're going to hear a testimony. When you've been tested, you have a wonderful testimony, and it's meant to be shared. So please receive now Dr. Thelma Williams.
I'd like to take a moment to thank Ambassador Sujay. I am a founding member and an aspiring entrepreneur. Many think that this group is primarily for business owners who are established. But what I learned is that there's an opportunity for every person that has a desire to become an entrepreneur. But I want to read something that I got from their website, and the reason why I joined. My testimony is that you have to step out on faith, and you have to just take the initiative. When something is in your mind, it's planted there for a reason. And when I went to the website for the Global Black Women's Chamber of Commerce, I saw these words: join a coalition of leaders, obtain opportunities, resources, and networking from established and aspiring entrepreneur. And I knew that I was part of that group. I looked for membership. I looked to increase my skills and my knowledge. I also was often the mentor for everyone else, and I was at a depletion of not being mentored. And so when I joined this group, what I gained was so much more than just the ability to understand what skills it takes, what knowledge it takes to be an entrepreneur, but I gained a global perspective, a networking opportunity with national, international, and also intergenerational leaders. I also was able to step out of my comfort zone, and I can be proud enough to say today that I don't see myself as an aspiring entrepreneur anymore, but I am an entrepreneur. Through the opportunities presented through this Chamber of Commerce, I am now an author and was able to sell a book this year as a result of this group. So please consider joining the Global Black Women's Chamber of Commerce, a voice and a choice for global Black women business owners. Thank you.
I'm Carletta Birch, a founding member of the Global Black Women's Chamber of Commerce as well. And I joined as well. As you said, there is shared knowledge, shared benefits, and also shared resources. And that is what we are all about. I'd love to introduce our next speaker, and that will be Quinn Conyers. Quinn Conyers partners with meetings and event planning. She transforms their events to epic experiences and compelling keynote speakers and energetic MCs. She has over 17 years of virtual and in-person speaking events. She's hosted and she has MC experience. Quinn takes pride in unleashing the voice of entrepreneurs, executives, and speakers so they can communicate with confidence, charisma, and clarity on any virtual or in-person platform or podium. We are so glad to have Quinn Conyers as one of our founding members as well, and I will let Quinn Conyers tell you the rest. Here she is.
We are so excited to have Quinn. How are you doing today?
I am awesome and amazing, Ambassador. How are you?
Fine, thank you. So when your picture came up on that short video, that was the picture that attracted me. I met Quinn through LinkedIn. I just was like, who is this Black woman who has her shirt saying "Speak Black Woman"? I've got to meet her. And she, for the past 2 years, has been our youngest, our millennial representative on the board, a founding board member. And now she's had succession. She is moving on from the board, staying a member, but she found another millennial who will replace her at our next board meeting. And that's really what business is all about, not just leaving and getting what you need, but making sure the generations who follow also are in place. So I want to thank you for your service. I mean, you came right in, you didn't stop. Your ideas have been great, your energy. But I remember your first thing you said when we went around and said, what are your dreams? You said, I want to MC shows like BET or whatever. And guess what? You're doing it. You are doing it. So congratulations to you. But tell us about this award you just got as an alumna of your school.
Yeah, so I'm from a very small town called Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I mean, the Black population is super small. And, you know, I knew at a very young age that I was a from a small hometown, but I had a big dream and I had a big vision. And literally I got a phone call last week that said that I was going to be honored as a distinguished alumni. And I was just thrilled because, again, you know, I was on a panel yesterday talking about diversity, and I know that I checked the box of Black woman. I know that I checked the box of, Black period. But what I'm also finding is that my perspective as a millennial is also opening doors for me. So literally, I was honored. I was the first person in my class. I graduated high school in 2001. Don't try to age me and do the age, but graduated high school in 2001. And since the distinguished alumni has been part of, I think since the early maybe 40s or 50s, I'm the only one from my class that has gotten the award. The majority of the classes has really people who graduated between the 60s and the 80s, but not too many within the 2000s who have graduated from high school. So I'm very proud of that, especially because my mother went to the same high school as I did, and she was a teen parent. She had me at 15 and still graduated on time. So it really was for her, not even for me.
Well, you're having all in the chats, lots of congratulations. And I too agree. We're so proud of you. Sometimes I have to just put my chest out as though I'm Mama Suzan because I'm just watching you work. So a couple of things, because in your introduction, Carletta talked about 17, 18 years you've been doing this. Business doesn't happen overnight, but you have to work your business. Tell us what you did to get where you are today.
You know, Ambassador, it's taken me 17 years to become an overnight success. I am fully aware and acknowledge that I am in my harvest season. I'm in my success season, and I'm grateful for that. But to be honest with you, it took a lot of blood, sweat, tears, quitting on this, crying for this, praying for this, breaking up with this to get to this part. And, you know, I just happened to stay the course. And as cliche as it may sound, you know what I mean? We live in a very microwavable, Instagrammable society. But at the end of the day, if you are not prepared to go to a been through, how can you ever get to the breakthrough? And the breakthrough.
Wait, hold on. What do they call that? That's a moment that we can share. If you don't go to the been through, you won't get the breakthrough. Say it one more time.
Yeah, I mean, it's as simple as that. If you are not willing, you know, to go through a been through, how can you ever expect to get to the breakthrough? And what happens is society really shows us the breakthrough moments. We're watching the highlights, but we're not watching, you know, what it really takes. And I just stayed the course. And, you know, I think God was like, all right, this is her time. And he's definitely amplified, highlighted, and elevated my voice. And I'm just grateful for the doors that have been opened. So, you know, it really
your mother and your wife, many times we hear the two sons in the background, and you show up though. And so I think that's part of it. You show up and you use the word consistent a lot. So it's staying the course, it's being consistent. And you had another business before this that you were like, didn't do so well. So tell us, it's not about losses, it's really about lessons. What did you learn from the previous business that you took into this business?
Well, the business actually did extremely well. The problem was I became a mom. So before I was speaking and emceeing, I had a wonderful bag business called Purse Paparazzi, which did very, very well. I was licensed with all 4 of the Divine 9 organizations. So I had the AKA license, the Delta license. I also had the Sigma Gamma Rho, as well as the Zeta license. And I was licensed with 11 HBCUs. And what that means is I was able to create purses with their likeliness, their logo, and things like that. So I was literally at a Boulé National Convention, all types of conferences for, you know, these women, and it went very well. But, you know, that business model didn't work for me anymore because there was a lot of traveling, especially through Boulé regional conferences. And when I became a mom, I couldn't leave my children like that. So I had to, you know, pivot before it became too sexy, right? You know, so after a while, I mean, we were literally running. I mean, in one weekend, I could be at a Delta event one day and at an AKA another day. We were getting contracts, which was unheard of because I am not Greek, but I love the sisterhood. So the fact that I was able to get a contract with AKAs to produce their regional conference bag. I got a conference with the Deltas. I got a conference with, I mean, just these contracts. People are like, how? They usually go to women in the sorority, but when you know how to serve, you know how to support, you have good business acumen, the opportunities will literally open up in front of your eyes. So I had to switch, not because the business wasn't doing well, but because my lifestyle had changed and I couldn't travel the way that business model demanded.
So let's talk about that. You had a business model, but now you have a new business model. How would you describe it?
My business model now is using the gift of gab that God has given me to inspire, motivate, impact, every life that I come in contact with. I believe that I'm not successful because I am awesome and amazing. I believe that I'm successful because I'm obedient. And part of that is I know that I'm supposed to use my voice. And I know that when I show up and I show out, Ambassador, I'm only 5 foot tall, but when I open up my mouth, I become a 5 foot giant.
Yes.
What I realize is if I use this voice, what I'm going to do privately and secretly and in public is give other Black women who look like me permission to speak up and speak out. So what I do now is what I'm doing right now, sharing my voice. I'm a professional MC. I'm a keynote speaker. I'm really all about making sure that, not only is my voice visible and heard, I work with other women and teaching them how to articulate their awesomeness, teaching them how to verbalize their value, because a lot of us are not clear or confident in using our voice because we've been muted and muzzled for so many years.
Totally. So now also it's not that you just received the check and we're glad that you get, but you also invest. You invested in going to the National Speakers Association last year, which brought you on a whole nother platform. But talk about the need to not just receive the check, but also invest in your business.
I am a business athlete and public speaking is my sport. Right? So in order for me to become the LeBron James, Michael Jordan of emceeing or speaking, I have to invest in myself. If you look at Kobe Bryant's life, they were in the gym early, shooting foul shots, jump shots, working on their game. So if I want to be one of the best MCs, one of the best event hosts, like if I want to speak at things like Essence or host the BET Honors, like we had talked about, or Black Girls Rock, I can't do that on talent alone. That would be very arrogant of me to feel like I don't have to polish and perfect this gift. So me being a part of things like the Global Black Women Chamber of Commerce, I'm a part of the National Speakers Association, I'm a part of the Black Speakers Network. That is a way for me to learn, earn, be a student, and also give back to other people who want to get into speaking and using their voice as a business. So joining the National Speakers Association was a no-brainer if I want to learn. Especially you have to be able to learn from people who look like you, people who don't look like you. And the National Speakers Association, there's a lot of people who don't look like me, but it's worked itself out because that also has opened up a lot of doors for me.
Awesome. So let's talk about, the National Speakers Association was what you invested in, but let's talk about where you want to go. I mean, you've arrived at certain goals, but where else do you want to go? What's on the Quinn dream list?
I want to be like, my ultimate goal is to be like an MC in residence for multiple organizations where I want to work with companies or organizations, activations that have multiple events a year that need a speaker who is energized, who can keep the events going. So I'm in conversation right now with Nike. I've already done 4 events with them. We're talking about what that looks like for their fiscal year. I want to be a part of Black excellence. I want to inhale Black girl magic and exhale cocoa butter. So anytime I can be around Black women who are doing positive things, like I was like watching Black women in Hollywood, you got Essence, you got Ebony, you got all these organizations that represent us well. That's what I want to be a part of. And I think sometimes when it comes to media, they tend to show the side where we are disrespecting and downgrading each other. There's a whole movement of Black women who are not even opening up doors. We're cracking windows, we're lifting up rocks, we're joining, and we're walking through doors together. And that's a part where I want to be a part of Black excellence, making sure that I represent my culture in a way that I believe that the world should experience us. And that's with excellence, with dignity, grace, and most importantly, sophistication.
And we have some questions from the audience. And one of our new members actually is with Black Girl Magic Museum. So we want to put those together, some networking, but you inspire us. Val, do we have a question from our audience?
We have one question that I think is relevant too. Quinn, that was awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. So motivating. So one of the questions was, how do you combat the barriers that Black women in leadership often face when engaged in their lives' work?
I mean, I think it's a part of what it takes to be a Black woman. If I am here and I know that I'm on assignment, there's going to be some type of challenge that comes with that, so I think it's a part of the process. I don't think it's about what do you do when the obstacle comes. It's about how do you navigate. And if you are around other people who you can learn from, because this is not my, I can talk to Ambassador. She might have some insight on how to navigate. And I think that I'm such a student and I have mentors that have poured into me who have shown me the ways. I don't have to make every mistake. I can call some people and say, how do I do this? But I think that being a part, that's my son breaking in, being a part of a leader. Yes.
Well, he's right on time because after this question, we're going back to Cynthia. So he's right on time. He's a good timekeeper.
Got you. So I think it's just about surrounding yourself with other Black women and also just being a student and not letting every obstacle be a deterrent or stop you. Sometimes it's not a stop, it's a deterrent. You have to go an ultimate way. I always say there's more than one way to skin a business cat, and there's more than one way to be a business leader. So you have to be very creative and innovative on how you navigate those challenges and know that they're going to come, but don't let it take you out.
Well, I want to thank you for being a fantastic board member. And it's been intergenerational. I've learned from you, you've learned from me, and it won't stop at this point. You've been awesome. You and the audience have been awesome to stay with us. If you are on YouTube, please press that subscribe button. And we thank you for sticking with us. There's even more excitement. These are some of the major Black voices that you want to hear. We've been talking with Quinn Connor. Thank you so much for sharing this time. And we'll stay in touch.
Of course.
That was awesome and amazing. We are so grateful for the time and energy of Gwen Conyers. We thank her so much for joining us for that segment. And now, as we move forward, we will hear from Gwen Franklin, another GBWCC member.
Good evening. I'm Gwen Franklin, proud Black member. I am Black of the Global Black Women's Chamber of Commerce. The pandemic has served as an inflection point for many Americans, especially Black women. New business startups are up by 30% compared to pre-pandemic years. By the end of 2021, there was a 22% increase in active Black female business owners, and currently there are 2.7 million Black women small business owners nationwide. But what about access to capital? 61% of Black women entrepreneurs self-fund their businesses instead of securing a loan from a bank. So where do I go to find capital if I can't self-finance? That's a good question. Look for grant money that doesn't have to be repaid, government and corporate programs with a need that matches your ability to provide. After all, this is the year of the Black woman. Whether you're looking for grants or loans, make sure that your financial house is in order. Key issue this year, inflation. Keep your eye on the Federal Reserve as they adjust monetary policy to curb inflation. Look for the federal funds rate, the rate at which banks loan and borrow from one another, to increase. Last month marked the first time since 2018 that there was an increase at 0.25%. Now, that may not sound like a lot. However, by the end of this year, the federal funds rate is expected to rise to somewhere between 2.25 and 2.5%. And when you add that to the prime interest rate, that's the rate at which banks offer their best customers, the cost of borrowing money is going to increase significantly. So a word to the wise. Access to money is going to get tighter, so be prepared. Reduce or eliminate your debt, especially that variable rate debt, credit card, variable rate debt specifically. Maintain a positive personal net worth profile. Keep good business financials and only consider a business loan if it has a fixed rate. So, what have we learned from this pandemic? In every cloud, there's a silver lining, because working from home is an option, and you can be the architect of your own future. Start by positioning for growth. Consider this a bridge that can connect business opportunities, wealth creation avenues, resources for learning, networking, strategic alliances, media, and public policy platforms. Oh, that's the Global Black Women's Chamber of Commerce. So just breathe, budget, and believe. And stay tuned to the Global Black Women's Chamber of Commerce, because the power of connection is huge. In all you do, be lifted up.
And we are welcoming Donna Grisby to the show. We are so excited to have you. You heard from Gwen Franklin, a member of Global Black Women's Chamber of Commerce. And if you'd like to join us, go to globalblackwomencc.org. That stands for Chamber of Commerce, globalblackwomencc.org. And I always capitalize the B. I know in English, sometimes the B is the small b, but I'm a Black woman who stands tall. So I bold it and I make it capital whenever I write the word Black. And so you're here with us today. We're so excited. We have Val Harris-Aline, who's been answering our questions. You just heard from Quinn Connors. You heard from Juandalynn Gavan. And we're just so excited. And one of the things that Quinn talked about was that sometimes the help comes to people who don't look like you. Before our next guest comes, we're going to talk about David Chalker, who was my banker at TD Bank in Washington, D.C., where we got started. And David is not a Black woman, but he knew that we were doing a retreat, and he walked all the way over with things for our retreat bagged, walked over to the house where I lived, took an Uber, unloaded all these boxes and said, I wanted to help you. So I want to just say something about where our money is going to be. We have several banks, certainly, but those bankers who help us are the ones we're going to also invest our money in. That's what Gwen was talking about, partnerships, collaborations, coalitions. And so now we're here with Val. Val, tell us what's interesting in terms of the chat. What kinds of questions are coming up?
Oh, a lot of positive chats. They're really getting a lot of information and encouragement from this the summit. Some of them are saying that, you know, this information is so encouraging. You know, they would love to join the Global Black Women. So they have put the link in the chat. So please check the link and go in and join the Global Black Women Chamber of Commerce, and you can read some more about things that we've been doing.
So Val, you're a businesswoman. Let's just talk about your business for a while we're waiting for Donna to come. But you are a Mary Kay distributor, and you've been doing that for a while. What do you think the business techniques for you that work best? And what were your learnings that you found coming along the way?
With Mary Kay in particular, I have Mary Kay business. I also have a real estate business with my family. But with the Mary Kay business, I think it got me a lot out of my shell. I'm basically a very quiet person, shy person, but stepping out on faith and taking on a business, and it could be Mary Kay, could be anything else. I think the best thing about it is just stepping out on faith and believing in what you're doing. I love the products. I'm wearing it now.
Yes.
Love it now. So I really, thank you very much. And getting out there and meeting people. And any business that you're in is about meeting people. So you definitely have to be a people person and get out there and just talk to people. Find what your niche is, what you like. I always loved, you know, getting into makeup or just mainly skincare. So I first started getting into skincare, and then I found that people were saying, oh, your skin looks so beautiful. I'm like, well, why not sell the product? If I'm wearing the product, I sell it. So it's stepping out on faith, networking with people, and just presenting what you have. And if it's Mary Kay, if the speaking is your thing, you could do that and speaking. But I think the major thing is just stepping out on faith and going and following your path and your dream.
So a couple of things. Sometimes, and I want to share this with the audience, sometimes you are shy. And my company is Charisma Speakers, charismaspeakers.com. And I got into it, like Val said, because I was passionate about speaking. Val and I met when I was in college, and I went to Emerson College, and I was a speech major. And I found my senior year, I had to do this, what they called speech. We had to do the speech in front of our senior mentors, Miss Lashoto, Francis Lashoto, and I had to be 3 characters in the same scene. And when I finished being Walter, Mama, and Benita in A Raisin in the Sun, my teacher stood up. Oral interpretation, it was called. And she gave me a standing ovation. And then the class stood up, and they were mesmerized. And I said, you know what? I want to make my living speaking. And that was my passion. And so now I help people with speaking for keynotes like Quinn does. I also do coaching. We do online classes. So if you're shy, or if you think you want to make your living as a speaker, be a profitable and professional speaker, look us up on charismaspeakers.com, and there'll be some opportunities for you to sit at our feet until you're able to walk on your feet and be able to go to that place that you were shy from. So we're excited about, you know, what we're doing, who we are. And we're going to ask Cynthia to come on also, because she has a business. And as you hear her announcing, you know, her voice is just like velvet. So Cynthia, talk with us a little bit about, Cynthia's getting ready to come on. Talk to us about your business. You're a full-time head of Shabbat Ministries school during the day, but tell us also what you're doing with that velvety voice.
Thank you so much. I'm doing a couple of things. The name of my business is Launch to Lead, and it is to help people launch out. And when I work with individuals, it's a coaching kind of business to find out where their strengths are. Well, the world always wants to try to fix your soft spots or your weaknesses, but you can spend a ton of money and it doesn't do anything to accelerate you. But if you know what your strengths are, you can always leverage your strengths. So I do try to help. And young children, women, couples. So I have been able to work with a number of groups as well as do Strength Finders, which is the tool that I use for our church.
So when, you know, I remember my first course in seminary was with Reverend Dr. James A. Forbes, one of the great pulpiteers, and he saw gifting in us that we didn't even see in ourselves. So when you see a strength, as you call it, or a gift, how do you help that person tap into it?
Well, first, after we get them to first accept it, because people usually want someone else's strength or gift. So they have to first accept it. And then as they learn about it, they can feel that that's a track that they are comfortable in. Because when you're doing what you're created to do, you feel very comfortable in doing it. When you speak, it is, I just sit back and watch, because I can't ever imagine someone with as much talent as you have. And just as a being open and transparent, I've taken your classes. I've gone to
but you know, just as people used to
classes, and I've grown it. So thank you.
So I remember my father used to talk to himself, and we used to laugh about it. But then I found myself talking to myself, and I was practicing speeches. So, you know, people sing in the shower and I talk in the shower. So it's wonderful. So I just want to tell you in the audience, first of all, if you're watching on YouTube, please press that subscribe button. We've been talking with Cynthia Terry, who's our announcer, Val Harris-Aline, who's answering and fielding our questions from the audience. And we're getting ready to talk. We're going to hear from another person who's a member, Lakeisha Barnett. And after that, we're going to talk to somebody else about their pathway to wealth, Paula Taylor. So let's just take a look at this testimonial coming up from Lakeisha Barnett. Thank you for sharing this time with us. We are State of Black Women Virtual Summit, the Global Black Women's Chamber of Commerce.
Hi, I'm Lakeisha Barnett. I've had the privilege of watching the Global Black Women's Chamber of Commerce emerge and become a dynamic force to be reckoned with. I decided to join because I believe the heart of Ambassador Suzan. I also believe that the connection of women and men who support this effort are extraordinary. It's already been a blessing to my life, and I'm looking forward to the ways that I can grow, not just to advance my personal needs, but I have a personal motto of impacting nations and generations, and I can't think of a better place to invest in myself and to connect with others with like vision, like passion. I encourage you to consider joining the Global Black Women's Chamber of Commerce right now. It is the voice and the choice for Black women business owners.
Our next segment is, we would like to introduce to you Paula Taylor, and she is going to talk about the business of wellness.
Welcome, Paula. I must say, first of all the photos today, I have to say, va, 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 boom. You know, you're beautiful in person, but also your photos are beautiful. Thank you for sharing this afternoon with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Ambassador Sujay.
So you are the principal owners of Arlee's Raw Blends, LLC. And
Yes.
I've had the privilege of experiencing, but tell us what Arlee's Raw Blends, LLC is.
Okay, so Arlee's Raw Blends is an organic, cold press, raw and vegan food cafe. I have 3 locations. I just recently, a week ago, opened up my 3rd location in Princeton, New Jersey. And we sell healthy foods to the community, and we also educate them at the same time.
Well, congratulations on your new 3rd location. I must say, in full transparency, our kids went to high school together, which is where I first met her. But then we also have a vacation home together. Now, I remember us eating fried chicken and macaroni, and you being the mom, taking all the food to campus. Where was the change and why?
Well, it really, I've been on the road for health and wellness for over 30 years. I've been influenced. I grew up, I come from a family of farmers. And over 30 years ago, I lost my parents at very young ages to diseases that probably were, because of the types of food that they had eaten. Yes. And I started researching. I wanted to, I just wanted to live a different life. And I wanted to just see what could I do to be healthier? What could I do in my life just to change the way I was thinking, eating, living life? And it just evolved into Arlee's Raw Blends. So, through the years as women, we've been on every diet you can imagine. Yes. I've done it all. I've done Atkins. I've done, just trying to maintain the weight. Dr. Oz, just listening, gathering all the information that I could possibly get. And over time, realizing that it was all about clean eating from the very beginning, from the start, where my family, like I said, they are 3rd generation farmers out of Georgia right now. And it's just amazing that I've come full circle.
That is amazing. And I thank you, first of all, because you're right on time. It is the wellness time. We do a wellness retreat for the mind, body, and spirit. And I must say, when I first saw this liquid green stuff in a bottle, I was like, I'm the steak potato mama. But it is so flavorful and it's beneficial to you. So tell us some of the nutrients. Like I get the KT most of the time.
You get my KT. And we sell our juices in 16-ounce bottles. And in that KT that you're drinking, it's kale, it's pineapple, broccoli, lemon, turmeric, and ginger. And it's actually one of our best sellers. And most people are thinking, oh my goodness, kale, I'm not going to drink. I can't drink kale. But it is, like you said, it's very refreshing. It's a meal replacement. And you would never sit down and eat 5 to 6 pounds of fruits and vegetables at one serving. So what you're feeling is it's absorbed in your bloodstream right away. So you're getting the vitamin B, you're getting iron, potassium, magnesium. You're getting 100% nutrients. And that's why you feel good after you're drinking it. You just feel so energized. So my business, we specialize in adding medicinal herbs to our juices, like burdock, moringa. Some of your viewers may know soursop, Irish moss. Of course, ginger and turmeric. Turmeric is very good for joint pain, inflammation. And we use everything in the store is fresh. We press the ginger and the turmeric from the root. We don't use any powder. So everything is just 100% organic and 100% what Mother Nature gave us.
Well, I know you're going to be sold out with KT because I'm going to try to buy it all this summer. I mean, it really is. So we're getting an actual serving or two of what would be the normal fruit or vegetable serving for a day?
Oh, yeah. You're getting your veggies for the day. So if you drink a bottle of my juice, you're good. You can say to yourself, I don't need any more veggies for the day. And that's what's lacking in our diet. Mm-hmm. We don't eat enough. We eat enough, maybe fruits, but we don't get enough vegetables. So if everyone really, thought about the vegetables that they ate during the course of a day, very few eat, vegetables for breakfast. If you have something at lunchtime, it's just, an iceberg lettuce or mixed beans, which really doesn't have that much nutrients. And at night, whatever veggies we prepare, we usually cook out the nutrients. So when you eat it raw, you get 100% nutrients and enzymes. So you get the benefit of all the nutrients and you don't cook it out.
So where are your three locations? I know Princeton and Trenton. Where's your third location?
So I actually have two in Princeton that are at opposite ends. So I have one on the main, sort of right, I'm in the heart of Princeton right now. So it's really booming. It's taking off. It's a much larger facility. We make everything on the premises, but this one the others are like grab and go. In Trenton, you can eat in. My other Nassau location has limited, it's Nassau in Princeton, has limited seating. But now this is a large store in the heart of Princeton on the campus. Wow. And it has a tremendous amount of seating. So
they say real estate, location. I remember you being right at Princeton University. How did you choose the other two locations and why? I mean, was there some traffic at Trenton that drove people towards your business? Tell us how you chose the location.
Well, believe it or not, I started in Trenton, New Jersey at a farmer's market. That's where I decided to test my market. In the first week, every week we would go to the farmer's market and we would sell out. Wow. And my brother said, because my brother is the one that asked me to, he said, let's see if there's a market for it in the Princeton area. So we went to Trenton, we went to their farmer's market, and it was my customers who edged me on and said, I want your product more than once a week. I really want your product like every day. And I actually had some customers who really was ordering juice from California. So they wanted us to open up a storefront. I live in Princeton. So it was easier for me just to look for a storefront in Princeton, which is what I did. I found that first, but I always had Trenton in my heart. I always told them that even if I open a 100% organic cold pressed juice bar, raw and vegan foods in an affluent neighborhood, that I was also going to open one in a food desert. So that's my next journey now. I'm looking forward, my customers from Newark want me to open up, a store in Newark.
I think the Hamptons too. I'll just say that, plant that little seed in your bosom, as they say. But Quinn talked about it took her 17 years to get to this part of her dream. So from the farmer's market to these three locations, how long did it take you, and what was your business model? I know you were a marketing major, but you had to put now a business into play. What did you do?
Yeah. So, like I said, I stumbled. So I go to the farmer's market just to even see if there's a market for it. So you're right. Our kids went to school together. I was so involved, volunteering my time. I never thought I would be an entrepreneur. And at the time, the kids were older and I had time to give. And so I said, okay, I love speaking with people. I love health and wellness. I love drinking juice. So let me go to the farmer's market. Let me talk to the people. Let me educate the people. And so I started. That was 2013. And we were so well received. Yes. I said, my brother found a location in Princeton. I looked at my husband. I said, you know, are you gonna, you know, help back us to, you know, to open this storefront? Because the one thing that's very difficult for, you know, people of color is to really get funding. I mean, you know, you have to have a track record. And how do you get a track record if, you know, they won't give you money to get started?
Exactly.
But, you know, and it's really very difficult. But anyway, I you know, I used some of my funds. We opened a store. We were very well received. And like I said, I had a mission, I had a goal, and I said, if I can open one, I can open two, I can open three. I love talking to people. So I'm in the store and I'm educating my customers, because I have, you know, at least 50 to 60 or 70% of my customers, they know what they want. They live this kind of lifestyle. But I have a lot of customers who are curious, or who may be sick, or who's looking just to change their diet. They know that they should be eating healthier.
Yeah, I mean, I was one of those who, you know, really just knew, but I didn't know how to make the conversion. So I want to thank you. Some of our audience wants to know how they can reach you. This is our last, Val's coming up with a question, but what is your website?
Okay, my website is www.Arlee's Raw Blends, and that's ARLEESRAWBLENDS.com. And if you hit Princeton, we'll pop up.
I love it. Val, do you have a question for us?
I have one question. Someone was saying, well, how do you take healthy, our old soul food recipes and make them healthier? Do you have any suggestions on that?
Oh, yes. Because I still eat soul food. I told you, I come from a family of farmers, and they're from Georgia. So we eat so, you know, we love collard greens. You love collard greens, and even fried chicken. I would say with fried chicken, if you want to fry your fried chicken, you use olive oil, not the olive oil, not a virgin light. You want to use just a regular pure olive oil. It doesn't have to be the Mediterranean where you get the olive flavor, but you want cold pressed olive oil. It hasn't been heated. It's excellent. And bread your chicken in rice flour, brown rice flour. You can do that with fried fish. Get away from the Pillsbury, the white flour, because it's been processed. Start going down to the new aisles. You won't even notice the difference. You prepare it the same way, but use olive oil, use brown rice flour substitute that. You're going to substitute all your recipes. You're going to use, you know, brown rice. You can use oat. You can use mullet. There's so many healthy flours out there for you to use. If you want to do collard greens, you can get organic turkey, organic smoked turkey wings, or you use a vegetable bouillon broth. You just saute. You just saute with a quarter, I would say use like a quarter tablespoon of water, saute onions, garlic, then cut up your collard greens, constantly stir, put a little red peppers, bay leaves, and that's it. And keep stirring only for 20 minutes. 20 minutes. You do not have to cook your greens down to where they're all mushy and they no longer have color. And they're vibrant, they're healthy, and you can throw in some red bell peppers, give it a little color, and it's yum yum. So I'm going
to come over to your house for dinner this summer. I'm inviting myself as the interviewer, but you have been delightful. Speaking of color, this is the Global Black Women's Chamber of Commerce. We've been talking with Paula Taylor, Arlee's Raw Blends LLC. Thank you for sharing this time. I hope you'll come back in the future and share more. But she's also a business member of the Global Black Women's Chamber of Commerce.
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Val.
Okay.
That was wonderful. We want to thank Paula Taylor for that wonderful information of how to stay healthy from the inside out using more natural things without losing the flavor. So that has been amazing. This segment is brought to you by Judson Press. you will see the book, my fabulous 5th chapter, the book that the seasoned woman 50 and over is reading. And it's our Dr. Suzan is the author.
Now we want to welcome Dr. Tia Knight Forbes. Dr. Tia Knight Forbes is the successful owner of ITAV-NP Family Health PLLC. It's a primary medical practice which provides primary healthcare services for families. Her second and most recent business, Skin Essence MediSpa, provides aesthetic and wellness services. Both are now located in Amityville, New York. ITAV, which is abbreviated for It Takes a Village, is an African proverb which means that an entire community must interact in order to have a safe and healthy environment for children. Part of her business model is to provide safe, quality, competent care for the community. Dr. Forbes offers herself as a mentor, assisting youth with choosing future careers, plan development, self-esteem, and cultural awareness. Dedicated to improving the quality healthcare awareness, Dr. Forbes remains abreast of both local and international disparities and the need for social change improvement. She continues medical missions. The GBWCC welcomes Dr. Tia Knight Forbes.
All right, that video was for Faye Coleman, who's our next segment, but this is Dr. Tia Knight Forbes, who was just introduced to you by Beryl Catherine. Couple of technical glitches, but we still have a wonderful team, and Beryl and Cynthia, thank you for the introductions of last segment. But Dr. Tia Knight Forbes, I believe you're our newest member who's part of the State of Black Women, and we are so excited to have you in the Global Black Women's Chamber of Commerce. Why did you join? What did it mean to you to be part of the Global Black Women's Chamber?
Well, firstly, when I saw Global Black Women, it caught my attention right away. Mm-hmm. And I saw, exactly what you guys were about. And it's something that I wanted to be a part of. Anything that positivity that Black women are doing, I want to be a part of.
Well, thank you for your service to the community, to the globe in Amityville, Long Island. And so was it 40 years before they even had a practice?
Yes, exactly. In that particular community, it was about between 35 and 40 years that they've had an actual healthcare provider in that community. No one else came. And I've been a resident there since I was a little girl. And for me, representation matters. And I felt that it was very much needed that I opened my practice there. I could have gone anywhere, but I definitely wanted to go back to where I am and start my practice and be a representation for youth, so they can see and be able to touch and to talk to, not just see on TV, but actually be right there in their face and be there presently for them.
Well, thank you. So you hit on a topic that's very important, not just representation, but also in business where there's a void and you fill that niche, there's a business. So talk to us about the starting of your practice. What kind of doctor were you initially? And then the starting of your business, your practice.
So it's primary care, family medicine. And I actually started in my home. I was still working at, healthcare centers in a different county, but I started in my home with just family and friends, just trying to really get a feel of where I could place my business within the community. And then, of course, I had some very influential women in the community that helped me to find an area where I wanted to really be placed. And they work with the town, and we got the space. It's a small space, but we got the space, and the town is very welcoming, and they're so happy and excited that someone from the community is actually there, because I understand the community. I know what they need. I know what they deserve. And I have the skills to be able to provide that for them.
So it's not the size of the space that you go into, but it's the needs, the big needs that you make sure that you take care of.
Absolutely.
So we've been asking everybody, who were the women that were influential in your life? Not just those who helped you with your business, but who did you admire and who did also help you?
Well, foremost, it was both of my grandmothers, my maternal and my paternal grandmother, who pretty much were very integral parts of my life growing up. They both are deceased now, but I know they would be very proud to see that I've actually continued to do what I set out to do. They instilled that into me to keep going. No matter what, no matter the obstacles, no matter what happens, you keep going. If this is what you want to do, if this is the impact that you want to make, you keep going.
Yes. And we're so proud that you kept going. So let me ask you this. So you said it takes a village, which is an African proverb that so many have used around the world. Right. So who were your villagers?
Oh boy, I had a huge village. Of course, one person cannot raise a child, no matter how much they may feel that they can do it on their own. It takes a multitude of people. I've had my grandparents, I've had my aunts, I've had other women throughout my life journey just come in and just drop nuggets of inspiration to me, or guidance and resources, and to be able to guide through this path that I was on. So there are a lot of different women. I don't know if you want me to name everyone, but it is a lot of different people.
It is your village. And someone just said they can't express how good this has been for their soul and their spirit. So what keeps your soul nurtured as you're taking care of these villagers?
Seeing the outcomes of people finally understanding the importance of health, the importance of having good quality health outcomes, seeing how they are just so appreciative of someone being able to take the time with them. Because a lot of them, so many times, and I've experienced it myself, where, you feel like you're just a number. They're in and out, they're writing a prescription, and they're not really explaining, how you could really prevent things from happening instead of just having a secondary intervention for you with writing a prescription. So that makes me feel very, very good that I'm able to sit up there and just talk with these people and have them really understand the importance of what's needed in their life to have a good quality health outcome.
So let me ask you this, because we have some medical folks in our family, but I understand the numbers are like 3% of African Americans in the whole medical field now, and those are Black women. Talk to us about what would encourage, first of all, what kept you holding on as you went through, and what would you encourage a woman who's thinking about going into medicine?
Well, what kept me going on was my children. I needed them to see that their mother didn't give up, no matter what. Was it easy? Absolutely not. It was not easy. And it still isn't easy being a solo practitioner and having my own business. It's not easy, but it can be done. If you have the will, if you have the drive, if you have the purpose within you, it can be done.
So let's talk about the business of medicine. And I think we're wrapping up after this question, because we look at the business side of everything with the state of Black women and being a global Black women's chamber. So how do you stay profitable when you have things like malpractice insurance and those kinds of things, and you're dealing with the community? You want to meet a need. How do you have a profitable business in medicine?
Keep costs low. That's number one. Keep your costs low as much as you can. And sometimes maybe you have to, pick up things on the side, extra things on the side, just to make sure that you're balancing your finances.
Yes.
As first off, when you start off, because you're not going to jump off just making enough money. So as your business continues to grow, you're going to have to do other things. You're going to have to learn how to balance until you're able to really have a good income, I should say, and able to sustain you and your family.
Well, you take care of so many. We want to thank you for being part of this wellness movement. And I want to invite you next year to our wellness retreat. Even though you're a practitioner, we make sure that those who are leaders take some time off. And so we look forward to you being part of next year's. We want to thank Carla Simpson for
Yes.
referring you to Global Black Women's Chamber. She's our executive director. We want to thank you for spending this time with us. And we're getting ready to go back to Cynthia, but how can people reach you if they want to reach you?
I do have a website. My website is ITAV-NP
A little slower. Say it one more time. What are the first letters?
ITAV -NP familyhealth.com.
So that's for It Takes a Village -M.
N as in Nancy, P as in Paul, familyhealth.com.
And you have been beautiful, and you are beautiful, and we hope that you'll come back. Well, you're part of the chamber, so you're going to be part of our family as we welcome other people in. If you want to join the chamber, go to globalblackwomencc.org. Excuse me, it's in the chat as well. Global Black Women CC, that stands for Chamber of Commerce.org. And if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe and share this with others. We want you. Like they used to say, Uncle Sam wants you. Global Black Women Chamber of Commerce wants you. So stay with us, and we'll be right back with our next segment.
Thank you.
We are so grateful for that last segment with Dr. Tia Knight Forbes and sharing the importance of health. We are so grateful to have family practice in our communities. Our next guest under the segment of emerging businesses is Faye Coleman of Pure Genesis. And this segment is brought to you by Pure Genesis.
Welcome back, Faye. We're so glad to see you. You haven't been on this show, but we've been together many times now. You've been a sponsor of State of Black Women in our upcoming wellness retreat, so we want to thank you in advance. But you're also a new business of part of the Global Black Women's Chamber of Commerce. So I'm going to start off. Why did you join? Why did you come on board? And what keeps you ticking and going?
Oh, well, first of all, I just want to say thank you so much for having me today. It's a pleasure. The Global Black Women's Chamber of Commerce is an amazing group of Black women. Who wouldn't want to be a part of it, Ambassador Sujay? You know, we couldn't
like
wait.
you. Yes, thank you. And so tell us, you know, what is Pure Genesis? It started with you wish that something had been there for your mother. So tell us the reason Pure Genesis got started.
Sure. As I and my mother both are cancer survivors, it was about understanding the benefits of cannabis as it relates to cancer patients. And, you know, I was a child when my mom had cancer. And I saw her on a 5-foot frame lose about 70 pounds. Her skin turned coal black. She had her mental acuity wasn't all there. And if she would have just been able to maintain her appetite, which cannabis could have done, she would have had a healthier recovery. And it stayed with me. So when I was diagnosed with cancer in 2009, I figured it was time to look at alternative medicine in a different way. And cannabis was certainly a great opportunity.
So it is a business, and it's a growing business. Are there African Americans involved in this?
Well, you know, it's interesting, as I heard earlier today, all about, you know, we need more Black women legislators, truly as it relates to shaping policy, as well as providing advocacy. And in this emerging market, I can say it is absolutely paramount. What you may or may not know is that Black and Brown have been arrested at 4 times the rate of whites, where less than 4% of this industry is owned by Black-owned businesses, and less than 1% are Black women-owned. So, you know, as we heard a little earlier, that Black women are in no short supply of starting up businesses. The challenge remains around access to capital and the perception of value and capability in this industry. 47 of our 50 states have cannabis is legal. It's a $30 billion market.
Say that one more time.
A $30 billion market. So not only do we have a right, but we also have a role in this industry. So we need those Black women legislators, but we also need our community to advocate for us as well.
So talk to us. You have not just one revenue stream, you own several of these businesses. Talk to us about your vision and provision, actually.
Absolutely. Well, our company is Pure Genesis, and we are an MWBE, a Minority Women Business Enterprise. We've got about 250 years of experience in corporate America, supply chain operations, HR, IT, as well as cannabis. And we're looking to provide access to address the many conditions that are out there, like epilepsy, anxiety, chronic pain, migraines, fibromyalgia, and PTSD. And with that, our intention, to be honest, is to be a community first partner. You know, we're looking to offer 30% of our jobs through reentry programs, to provide transferable and leadership skills training more than a living wage, internships, scholarships, incubator space, and profit sharing. We've got 6 business entities where we are pursuing a cannabis business. We are multi-state hemp operators, so we grow hemp in several states. We are cannabis educators and consultants. And with support from the White House, we are working with HBCUs to cultivate the next generation of cannabis leaders in conjunction with working with Black farmers. And this year we are launching our CBD infused beverage called Genesis. We have aptly titled The Future of Happy Hour. So we're very excited about and very blessed to be where we are in the industry at this point. It wasn't easy, but we are here.
So why do so many people fight against it? You know, first of all, my generation had a whole lot of, it was the original CBD, my generation. So why do so many people fight against it?
A lot of it is a lack of education. I really think most folks don't understand the value that cannabis brings to the table in terms of the healing aspect of it, as well as the industrial aspect of it. One thing that we never talk about in terms of cannabis, we don't talk about the other side of the coin, which is hemp. And as we talk about climate change specifically, we hear, I think every week now, we hear our administration talk about we've got 30 years to reduce our climate emissions by 50%. And hemp actually reduces carbon emissions. And people don't know that. Cannabis reduces carbon emissions. Wow. So when you talk about it, you talk about, are you really pro or against? It's really not that. It's understanding what cannabis can provide. And it really is the health of the individual as well as the health of the planet that this plant can provide for.
So when people speak about medical marijuana, can you tell us what the differences are?
Medical versus, so there's a lot of questions there. So you have, Alan, I'll take you through a couple. You've got medical marijuana versus recreational marijuana versus CBD, which is hemp, which versus industrial hemp. So when you look at those 4 things and you've got medical marijuana and recreational marijuana, the whole misnomer is that there's no difference. It's only about access. Okay. So for instance, if you go into a medical dispensary, you would need a patient card. If you go into a recreational dispensary, you need your driver's license.
Okay.
That's the difference primarily. So you actually can get more at a higher potency in a medical dispensary than you can in a recreational dispensary. So really? Some might think it would be the other way, but it's actually not. And that's because of the medicinal aspects of cannabis. When you can have someone with juvenile epilepsy that has hundreds of seizures a day that actually can, with cannabis, come down to less than 5. That's real.
That's very real.
So, right. So there's a lot of, and like I said, education is at the forefront of that.
So tell us that statistic, and you said 47 states do what?
So in 47 states, cannabis is legal in some form, whether medicinally or recreationally, 47 out of 50. So it's not a matter of if cannabis is in your state, it's here. It's here. It's a matter of, do we have an opportunity to engage and be a part of it? Do we have an opportunity for ownership? Do we have an opportunity to have those tax revenues to be provided for our communities? And that right now we're in New Jersey. And interestingly enough, today is the first day of recreational sales within the state of New Jersey. Just happens. As yesterday was 4/20, that's the National Cannabis Day. Today is the first day of recreational sales in the state of New Jersey. Yes.
I feel a whole lot of people packing bags and coming up to New Jersey today. I just kind of feel it in my soul. But they didn't inhale. Remember, my generation, they smoked, but they didn't inhale, as they said. What would you want people to know? I mean, you're a business owner. You wish you'd have been here when your mom was here. Your revenue streams is a billion or $1 million industry?
30 billion.
With the B.
With the B. And I apologize, Ambassador Sujay, because I didn't finish just even speaking on CBD and industrial hemp. On that other side of the cannabis coin, as you look at CBD is a $4 billion business.
Yes.
And industrial hemp will probably be a $1 trillion business. And as I tell people, when you look at marijuana, I say that's the sexy side of the business we talk about. CBD is the current side of the business, and industrial hemp is the long game. So we need to really educate ourselves. And as you talk about what's next, you have to understand what's your why. Yes. Why are you getting into this business, and have a real reason. I have a passion for it because it's a challenge, but it is well worth it. And then make sure you get a great team. I always say your best asset in your business is your team that you have. You got to make certain that you focus on that. And then you got to be able to, of course, learn and understand the business that you in, source your capital accordingly. There's good money out there and bad money, believe it or not. We gave back a $10 million check our first year in business because we had a bad actor. So make certain you got good money, and people can bring strength to the table other than just writing the check for your business. And then you got to make certain you got a great business plan, and then network. It's a small community, but it's one that can be very helpful if you network and engage in the right manner, as I think I heard you talking about earlier.
So do you mentor, say there's someone watching State of Black Women Virtual Summit and they're interested with, number one, if they wanted to come into business with you, is there a bottom line number? And number two, would you mentor them to a point where they got their own business, or would you recommend them really just joining and learning alongside you?
It would depend on where they are in their journey. And certainly we would welcome an opportunity to speak with them as we do education and business consulting. We do a workshop called Now You Know that we do for at-risk youth, but we also do it for organizations like the NAACP or the African American Chamber of Commerce. So, there's just depending on where you are in your journey that we can give you the sound and sage advice on how best to move forward, not to bump your head as many times as we did, and to give you a blueprint to help you move forward successfully. And we also share our own business model. And if you want to be a part of investing in PG or Pure Genesis, we're open to that as well. Every investor we have, Ambassador Sujay, is African American. Every investor. And we have over 40 investors. So that's saying something.
That's saying something.
Yes.
I must tell you, your presentation, which I saw, is excellent. And that is a part of it, because if people are going to invest, they want to know that it at least looks the part, And you and Priscilla Quinn, who we want to give a shout out to, who I met with, have done that. And so I thank you for your presentation. We're going to take some questions from Val Harris from the audience in a minute. My last question to you, so if people had a joint or two and they were arrested before all of this became legal, do those laws, are they upheld?
So it's interesting that we have a couple of things in play at the federal government level. One is called the MORE Act. And what the MORE Act is looking to do is to decriminalize cannabis so that you can no longer get arrested for having a joint or two, as well as descheduling or removing cannabis from as a scheduled controlled substance.
Got it.
That is one. So yeah, that the MORE Act is out there, and then we have the Safe Banking Act that's also being teed up as well.
You're about 40 years too late for my crew, but thank you for that information. But Val, we were in Boston together, so you know there was a whole lot of cannabis.
A lot is going on.
But Val, what's the question that we have before we go to our next guest?
One question was, what are the startup costs for a CBD business to get started?
For a CBD business, they're quite nominal. It's not as expensive, but it depends, Val, on if you are growing for CBD, or if you're manufacturing product, or if you're looking to sell it as a retail product. So it would depend. That could be anywhere from a few $1,000s to hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Well, you have been excellent. I think you're going to come to our retreat as well. You're sponsoring our retreat. The retreat we keep talking about is called Selah by the Sea, June 20th to the 23rd in West Palm Beach. But we sold out within a week. And so put it on your calendar for next year. We take 70 Black women leaders, Christian leaders, and it's a wellness retreat. And this year, Faye Coleman and Priscilla Wynn are one of our sponsors. And we thank you for the time you share with us. Most of all, we thank you for joining the Global Black Women's Chamber of Commerce. Thank you, Val, for your questions. And I think we're ready for our next guest. Have a great evening.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Welcome, Dr. Barbara Kairson. Let me just say, another point of transparency, she is the current president of the New York Coalition of 100 Black Women founding chapter, and I had the privilege of serving years and years ago, but you took over right before COVID hit. So let me thank you for your leadership. You're wearing that color today. We're kind of matching today, but thank you for your leadership. Let's talk a little bit about your history, and then let's talk about your leadership during COVID. First, you're a PhD, got your education in New York City, public schools, and then you were head of DC 37's educational fund for years. And if you don't know, in New York, unions are huge. And DC 37 is like over all the umbrella. So thank you for your leadership. Talk to us about what that work was like. And I think her mic is still muted, if we can open it, but talk to us about what that work was like.
Thank you, Ambassador CJ, for the invitation to be with you this evening, and I am very honored to be here. The work with DC 37 was inspirational, it was energizing, it was very difficult, but it was so rewarding. When we talk about education and the field of education, often people are thinking about K through 12 education. And we don't spend a lot of time thinking about adult education, the field of adult education. I had the opportunity to work with municipal employees in New York City, many of whom had to interrupt their education at a younger age. And one of the things that DC 37 offered were a series of different educational programs so that workers could come back to their union, could continue their education, and many went on to receive their college degrees and even gone on into graduate study. We had classes at the union headquarters and also throughout the city of New York in what was called decentralized locations.
So you touched the lives, I believe, of over 125,000.
At that time, there were 125,000 eligible members. Thankfully, not all of them came for classes at the same time.
Yes.
But many did. We also offered programs on the weekends that we call family activity programs.
Yes.
Where many of the children of union members came into union headquarters and took things like dance classes and music classes and arts and crafts, things that enabled them to become engaged and remain engaged in the educational process.
Well, let me tell you, thank you, because, you know, that's so important. We forget, like you said, we think of K through 12,
yes,
but you help touch the lives and shape the lives of so many. But let's talk about nonprofit leadership, because people don't understand that that is a business as well. Nonprofits are really important. And first of all, when I come into the room and every time I see you, whether it's on Zoom or in the room, you boom. You know, you are stunningly beautiful and your stature is just like leadership potential. So if you had to describe what makes a leader, what would you say?
A leader is a person with vision. A leader is someone who looks at what is and imagines what can be, and then is able to get others to share in that same vision.
So if you get an organization and it's fledgling, or at the time you take it, it may be a little rocky, it may have dwindled, how do you develop the vision?
Well, I think you look to see what is as opposed to what isn't. Often we come to something and we say, well, this isn't working, that's not good, that's not, but there is good there. Let's look at what the good is. Let's look at what has sustained that organization throughout the years and how we can build on that, because there is a foundation. And without a foundation, if you come in thinking you have all the answers, often you will find very painfully that you don't. So
you look at what is and not what isn't. That's a really shareable moment, quotable moment. So let's talk about, you have the founding chapter. So you have people who've been there for decades, and then you have a new breed. How do you keep it alive enough so new people want to join, but also navigate enough so that those who've been there and are legendary don't feel put out?
Well, as I said, we look to the foundation. We look to all of our pioneers who helped build the organization and are still contributing. But if we're going to have a future, we also have to understand that we don't have all the answers, that we do need to understand that there are different ways of doing things. And the pandemic really brought that home to us very quickly. It made us understand that we had to go about the work that we do in a different way. But we're also interested in listening to what younger women are saying and what they're looking for. Their needs may be very different from what the needs of the founders were. And if we're going to have a future, we have to be able to sit down, to talk to one another, to listen to one another, and then to find the common ground that we can move forward with.
That was such a diplomatic answer, even when you use the word pioneers. I'm going to tell President Biden he needs to have you as one of the diplomats in his administration. You handled that so well and sounded just so good, as they say. But let's talk about COVID. You are elected. We have maybe 2 meetings in the Kennedy Center, and then COVID hits. We can't be together. Talk about introducing a generation who hasn't used Zoom to Zoom, and then your numbers grew through COVID. Talk about how you made that happen.
It was frightening initially. I was elected to the presidency actually in October of 2019.
Okay.
I was installed into the position in January of 2020.
Yes.
We had one membership meeting in February of 2020, and then COVID hit. So we were not able to come back together.
Right.
I was learning along with everyone else. I didn't know much about what Zoom was, how to conduct a Zoom meeting. The first Zoom meeting we had, I had logged on incorrectly, so I was the only person on, wondering where everybody else was, only to find out I had pushed the wrong button. It took realizing that there was a way for us to continue to do business, but to overcome many of the fears that we had, especially as women of a certain age.
Yes.
Many of us had not experienced the digital environment before. So we took it a step at a time, and we learned and we laughed. No one was made to feel outcast or ignorant because we were all learning at the same time.
Yes.
And to use a word that has become very common, we had to pivot. We had to find a new way of doing business. One of the things we found that as a result of operating in this digital environment, we were able to attract members who were not able to come out because of various obstacles.
Exactly.
It may have been health issues, it may have been travel problems, it may have been a lot of other things. And they were able to log on and participate in the meetings. So our membership numbers went up.
Yeah, they really did. I think Val has time for one question, but we want to thank you for being with us. You are the nonprofit leader par excellence. Val, do you have the final question for us today?
Just the question was, what motivated you to go into this nonprofit
leadership?
That has been my life. I live by the quote that service is the rent we pay for the privilege of living on this earth. And there is so much service to be offered, whether it's in the educational environment, in the nonprofit environment. It's a way for me to give back to so many people who have given to me.
Well, thank you for giving time with us today. Thank you for giving leadership to not just New York Coalition, but our city and our nation. And now all over the world, they know who Barbara Kairson, Dr. Barbara Kairson, and thank you for sharing with us. And it's been my pleasure and honor and privilege to have you on our show. Thank you, Val.
So
and we're ready for our next and our final segment.
We're so grateful to Dr. Barbara Kairson. She said a nonprofit leader, a leader looks at what is and can see what can be and then engages others to work toward can be, which is phenomenal. Our closing segment for today is Beauty Only Skin Deep? With Vera Moore of Moore Cosmetics.
Vera Moore, more love. We're so happy to have you with some energy at the end. Colorful, but you know what? We've known each other now maybe 3 decades.
Oh, Lord.
Always the same, filled with joy, filled of life. Thank you for coming. Tell us what Vera Moore Cosmetics is.
Well, first of all, thank you so much, Dr. Sujay, Ambassador Sujay, for having me on here. I'm ecstatic to always be in your presence. And I know I didn't see the other panels, but I know they were terrific. Well, you know, I had no idea I was going to be an entrepreneur. My background was all theater. You know, I grew up in the church singing, you know, in the choir. Yes, I did. I went to Sunday school as a Sunday school teacher, but I just always wanted to perform, you know?
Yes.
So, you know, I would sing, and my mother, I came from a Pentecostal church. So for those who don't understand, my mother didn't want me singing anywhere other than in the choir. You know what I'm talking about?
Exactly.
So they had a fair one day. I grew up in Corona, 5 brothers and 1 sister, 7 children. My mother, I got all my strength. I stand on her shoulders, was a domestic worker, 3rd grade education. My father was a porter. He couldn't read. He learned how to read from the Bible.
Wow.
So I brought that in to tell you. People say, well, where did you get this chutzpah? Where did you get this? I got that from my mom and dad.
Well, tell us also, you were the first Black person on a soap opera ever. What role did you play?
Well, I was the first Black actress on Another World, a major television show, NBC. This is big time. It's national television.
Mm-hmm.
Was it scary? Yes. And, you know, people came from all over the West Coast to audition for this. This was a big time because they had never had a black family. Mickey Grant played my sister.
Wow.
Yes, she dealt with Don't Bother Me, I Can't Cope. Rosetta Lenoir played my mother from California. And was I scared? Yeah, I was afraid. I'm not going to say I was, but I had done my due diligence. I studied.
Yes,
I
you
had
did.
to work during the day. I worked for the federal government for 5 years, but I went to school at night studying and honing my skills. So you got to be prepared for the opportunities, so to speak.
Let's talk about that when opportunities come. So fast forward, it took you 30 years to really build your cosmetic business. People, we talked about the length of time. It wasn't overnight, but being prepared. Macy's needed some lipstick. You had already built the boxes. Tell us the story that even though it looks like a loss, you really were prepared for a blessing.
Yes, yeah. That's why you have to step over in faith, not what you see, but what God puts before you. You know, I had the opportunity to go into Macy's. And normally it was for a trunk show. Now, trunk show is just for the weekends. And it only lasts usually a month, 2 months. So I got to go into Macy's, and they say, well, you have to be barcode. I don't know what barcode it was. You know, I also integrated Green Acres Mall, by the way. That's a little aside. First Black woman in the history of Green Acres Mall.
That's right.
Yeah, that was major. That was the biggest thing I've ever done. All right, so I went before Macy's, and they said, you got to be barcoded. I had to pay for barcodes because when I had my store in Green Acres Mall, I just put a cute little bag of little tissue paper. Here it is, darling. They would love you. Then they said you had to be EDI. I didn't know what EDI was. You know, that's a catalog that you have to have for mass market.
Yes.
All this costs money. Did I have the money? But you take a risk. You go out on the trunk of the tree, and that's what I did. The problem was I was only supposed to do this for 2 months. We did it for an entire year. Every weekend, schlepping these things for different major Macy's in Brooklyn, Roosevelt Field, Brooklyn, where Macy's used to be down there in Brooklyn, Green Acres Mall, Long Island. At the end of the year, I didn't get it. And I spent thousands of dollars to get into Macy's. I borrowed money to get into Macy's.
Wow.
Okay. Was I disappointed? Was I upset? Yes, I was, because I'm human, but only for a minute. But guess what? I had an opportunity to interview for Walgreens with Wayne Reed.
Yes.
So young lady said to me, Vera, they're looking for a black line for Walgreens. Now, I didn't want to go into mass market because my cosmetic was positioned middle. We don't have anything for $5.99.
Right.
So, but when I went to meet them, the buyer, and she said, call her next week. I said, I'm not calling her next week. I'm calling her tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay. I called her, and then she said, okay, you can come in. So when I went in, that's how God works. I mean, you just don't know. That's why you don't lean to your understanding.
Yes.
The first thing that lady asked me, the buyer, was, and I almost jumped up and shouted. She says, Miss Moore, are you barcoded? I didn't even know what barcoded was a month ago. I said, yes. She said, are you EDI? Now, EDI is a big thing because it's got to go in the catalog, everything.
Yes.
She says, are you EDI? I wanted to say, thank you, Jesus, but I said, yes. She says, well, we'll get back to you. Within a month, she got back to me. I was in Duane Reade. We were in Duane Reade all over New York. And then when Walgreens acquired Duane Reade, we went national, but we were ready. So this opportunity that Macy's gave me, that I was really upset about, they know it, because I didn't get it, and I invested thousands of dollars to get into Macy's. Because, you know, let people know, when you get cosmetics, you got to buy boxes.
Yes.
A box for mascara, a box for lipstick. They're all different sizes, and each quantity is. I might have had to buy 5,000 of a color, 5,000 of a box. You understand what I'm saying? Because mascara doesn't fit in a pressed powder box.
Yes.
We took a loan. We took a risk, but I was ready. So I thank Macy's.
So would you say risk plus readiness plus opportunity plus faith equals leadership success?
Oh, yes, you have to have a vision. And my mission, I just wanted to educate Black women. That's a whole nother story, but I had to peel back a lot. It was very difficult because there was not everybody, so don't let them call you and say, what did she do? But a lot of us didn't have we didn't perceive ourselves as beautiful.
Yes, yes.
But you know what I'm saying? But I always knew that I could.
Yes.
I just thank my mother for it. Grew up in Corona, Queens. Went to school with a hole in my shoe. This is true.
Yes, yes, yes.
I remember my mother said, listen, we're going to buy you some shoes next week. Just put this little cardboard in it. So I just went to school. I didn't tell anybody, but I always had that chutzpah. I've always had that, Vera, you can do it.
Yes.
So I think that leadership and my faith.
Yes.
My belief. And, I listened to my mother.
Yeah, yeah.
I listened to my father. My mother said no was no, even if I didn't want to. I listened to it. So I know that those are the shoulders I stood on.
Yes, yes.
You know, so I think all of that and I always wanted to share.
Yes, yes.
I always wanted to share with people.
And you still do that. I mean, you are just so generous, which is why I love you so much. So we are both pre-social media business experts. So how do you now make the pivot? Because you have to market and people have to know you outside of the ways that we were formerly known. What do you do differently now?
Okay, well, you know, we were in the Duane Reade stores, and Duane Reade closed, unfortunately, 200 stores, and we were in those stores. So that Look Boutique, we were in a section called the Look Boutique, like a Sephora, like an Ulta. We were never on mass market. We were a special group with like 30 lines. When they closed, okay, so I cried for a minute. I had a pity party for a minute. But you see, we always had a presence online.
Okay.
But I never, let me tell it. I never dedicated time to my presence online. I'm gonna be honest. We're a small company, and we were marketing our stores, working those stores, in-store promotion all over Manhattan, the West Side, East, Chicago, Las Vegas, Hawaii, Puerto Rico. Consuelo, my daughter, yesterday, she traveled all over training them. But when the stores closed, I really didn't know that much about social media. But you got to learn quick. That's what entrepreneurs have to do. You got to step up to the plate. You got to scale up. We did it. So now we had to know how to bridge that digital divide.
Yes.
I took classes. I'm the oldest one in my class, and I just go take classes virtually, and we learned because we didn't have a choice. Exactly. So now we're at VeraMooreCosmetics.com. You can go in there and buy from us.
Say it one more time, VeraMooreCosmetics.com.
Yes, Instagram. So, Instagram, Facebook. We're getting ready to do something with TikTok. Just hired someone that their expertise, for content. So you got to go with the flow in order. You've got to be innovative, and you have not to be afraid to cross the unfamiliar. You can't be afraid. You just, that's what entrepreneurs do.
So let's talk. Our last question is about legacy, because I've always seen you and your daughter Consuelo, who you just referred to.
Yes.
So it does not stop with you. There's another generation. Why is legacy important?
Well, it's financial empowerment. And I mean, listen. She loves what she does. She's a graduate of Howard University.
Yes.
School of Business. She left and went to Christine Valmet, which is one of the most prestigious schools. She's an esthetician for 15 years. And I want to pass this on. Listen, look at Estee Lauder.
Yes, yes.
I mean, come on, right? She owns 30 brands. So I'm going to try to do that too. Now, we have been in business for almost 40 years. 15, now make this clear for entrepreneurs. 15 of those years was very, very difficult for me because my mother was very ill.
Yeah.
But it still didn't stop me.
That's right. That's right.
We were down, we had a hole in the bucket. My mother was very ill with a stroke. My father fell down the step, was paralyzed, but it didn't stop me. God still provided. He still hedged me in. He still protected me, and I'm still here. And I own my company 100%.
Yes, you do. And you know what? We support you every time you do something. First of all, I used to look for those Vera Moore boutiques around the stores in Duane Reade. Yeah. But I'm going to always support you because you have been supportive. We love you, your energy. Thank you for being with us. We hope this is not the last time. VeraMooreCosmetics.com.
Oh, no.
We're in a movie together. Tried by Fire.
Oh, yeah. We got to say that real quick. Yes, and we're just so blessed. It's like I'm returning to my original thing. We're going to be in Tried by Fire, a movie that's coming out in by the fall, and Dr. Sujay is, we're not going to tell them too much, but we're very excited about it.
We're very excited.
I'm returning to the big screen.
Hey, and I'm going with her, so she brings me along with her.
Oh, God.
Thank you for being with us. We're so excited. Cynthia Terry is getting ready to come back and close us. Thank all of you for staying with us for these 2 hours. If you didn't yet subscribe on YouTube, please do that. We'll be showing this again. Cynthia, tell us what we're getting ready to do as we close. You muted? I think we have her muted.
I just want to thank all of our marvelous guests. We have been motivated, mentored, and ministered to, and it has been fabulous. I too am a member of the Global Black Women Chamber of Commerce, and I have grown significantly by being a part of the wonderful organization and under the tutelage of our own Ambassador Sujay. So we thank you so much for all that you do and all that you're going to do. You have been so faithful, and we are grateful. So now, for final remarks, Ambassador Suzan.
Well, thank you so much. You have been wonderful as our announcer. Again, all the thanks to those behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, all of our guests. We'll hear from Donna Grisby at a future State of Black Women, and Cynt Marshall, who's at the playoffs for the Dallas Mavericks. We'll hear from them in the future. But you've been with us for 2 hours, and everyone has been a blessing, has been wonderful, has been what the kids say, the bomb. And so we invite you to join the movement. It's the Global Black Women's Chamber of Commerce. You can go to globalblackwomencc.org, and you can put join here. This will be repeated. We'll make sure you can go to youtube.com/Ambassador Suzan. See this in the future, share it with others, join us. We're trying to do it together. We're creating, we're connecting, we're collaborating. I say that 1 and 1 equals 2, except when it's side by side, then it equals 11. We can do so much more together. Worldwide, the Global Black Women's Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for staying with us. Stay with us, join us. We'll be back for State of Black Women 5 in the fall. Take care of yourselves, be blessed, and build that business, and we'll help you.